Hey everyone, Clay here at Mountain Music Exchange. I'm here with my good friend Brian Collins. Brian, you doing all right?
Doing good, brother. How you
Cool.
doing?
Not too shabby, not too shabby. So what we're going to do here, in this video, we're going to talk about pedal boards. Now, I know you can't see the pedal board here right behind us. We're still working on that whole thing, but we are going to insert some still shots of what Brian's pedal board looks like. So we're going to have him first give you a rundown of the pedal board and then give you the hows and the whys of how his pedal board is what it is. So for starters, Brian, give us just a quick run through. What do you have going on here with your pedal board?
First in the signal chain, the first thing the guitar sees is a TC Electronic Polytune 2 Mini. Fantastic little tuner if none of you guys have ever tried it. Next in line after that is an MXR Phase 95, a little mini phaser with a 45 and a 90 both in one package. Toggle between script and block logo. Super cool little phaser.
It's a pretty diverse phaser.
Oh
like.
yeah, they're
for
fantastic.
sure.
And for the money, you cannot beat them, man. Look, $99, I think they are.
Yeah,
something like that. And the 45 does a pretty passable Univibe imitation.
Sweet.
It's very cool. And then the 90 on the script mode, it's that classic 70s MXR phaser sound for sure. But if you block logo guys out there too, you can turn the script mode off and you still get that extra feedback, that sweep in there.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Then after that, an exotic BB preamp. This is one of the Andy Timmons pedals. I can't play like Andy Timmons, but I love Andy, so had to have one of these pedals. And it sounds fantastic. It's supposed to be like the old first run BB preamps before they changed the circuit. So, and after that is a fantastic stomp underfoot Greasy Creek fuzz machine. A fuzz face on one side, big muff on the other.
Yeah, and you've got two separate switches on those, so you can
stack
run
them.
one or stack both. Right,
Yep.
right.
If you want them independently, you can stack them if you want some crazy overloaded fuzzy goodness. After that, another Andy Timmons pedal. Can't help it, I'm a big Andy Timmons
So
fan.
who's your favorite guitar player again?
Eric Johnson, Andy Timmons. I love those guys.
All right, cool.
Love those guys. And then it's the AT Plus from JHS Pedals. There's an independent boost on one side, which you can boost the AT with, which is a modified Angry Charlie. Toggle switches 3 different modes. 100 watts the most open and compressed, loudest most definitely. 50 watt mode to me sounds closest to the original Angry Charlie. And the 25 watt mode for you guys that are super gain guys, compression, sustain for days.
It's pure sustain, pure compression. Almost,
absolutely.
A lot of chunk for, really a modified Angry Charlie, but it sounds the most modified, we'll say, of the 3 switches. Yeah,
absolutely, and tons of compression. You can hold a note and sustain forever with it.
Yeah.
After that, everybody loves the exotic EP booster. Got one of those on there. Fantastic little Echoplex style booster pedal preamp. I keep the dip switches on mine set down, turned off, both of them, so there's no 3 dB boost, it's unity gain. The high cut's off, so you're still getting those warm mid-range and low frequencies that you would get from a classic Echoplex. I keep the knob set about 9 o'clock, so it's just a slight boost in the volume.
Just a little something extra, kind of, to maybe put. Do you do that for volume specifically, or do you do it to push the amplifier?
Tone shaping mainly.
Okay.
I leave it on pretty much all the time. I know a lot of guys that do that. They never turn them off. They keep them on all the time. Fantastic little pedal. After that, Electro-Harmonix Deluxe Memory Man 1100 tap tempo. These are so good. It uses the MN3005 reissue chips. I know they're not the same as the original Panasonic chips.
This thing used to be mega rare for just a minute, right? To where
It
like
had
used
the
prices
Panasonic
were
chips in it.
$750 or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These are around $350 new.
Yeah.
I found this one used and it was in mint condition and got a fantastic deal on it.
Sweet.
Got it for around around $225 used.
Wow.
Fantastic price.
That is
on
phenomenal.
It. The chips in this one are the X-Vive chips, but they sound so good. I mean, to me they're a worthy successor to have the MN3005 name on them. After that, Strymon El Capistan, which everybody knows and loves. Fantastic tape delay emulator.
Yeah.
3 modes on that. You've got a fixed head, single, multi-head with all the different, the looper and all that stuff. After that, we've got the Strymon Blue Sky for reverb, which I keep normally on the room setting on normal. If I want a big ambient, I'll turn it to the plate, modulated plate setting. So,
do you ever use like the shimmer or anything like that in the Blue Sky? Is that, or do you just
the shimmer? No, really. I like the plate setting with a little modulation for a big, huge, for volume swells and stuff. But for just a standard reverb, I keep it on the room setting about 1 o'clock, mix about 12. Yeah, and just no modulation on a normal setting. Fantastic sound of reverb.
Now, in the picture, you're going to see it too. There is a single button here, just sort of off to the side, just above the EP booster. What is that?
I neglected to mention that. That is a Strymon favorite switch I've got connected to the El Capistan. And what that lets me do is toggle between 2 different modes.
Yeah,
in the El
okay,
Cap.
okay.
So it's like having another delay pedal on my board with having the favorite switch.
Yeah,
It takes
so-
about this much room.
So I can tell here, your board essentially consists of, with the exception of the reverb and maybe the Phase 95 and some essentials like the boost and the tuner, you push overdrive and delay a lot. So what makes you lean toward those in favor of all the other options you could fill this board up with?
Oh man, it's just, I'm a delay junkie. If I could, I'd have a huge board with 10 delay pedals on it for all different stuff. But I started getting into stacking delay pedals a couple of years ago, setting them to different times to where you'll get some rhythmic interplay between the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you do the volume swells, and it's almost like a synthesizer.
Yeah.
You want to hear a little bit of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a little something here, just we'll say like with the BB, and then we'll start simple and then just kind of go as deep into the board as we can, from an audio standpoint. So yeah, just.
Okay. Well, this is the BB preamp on the neck pickup. It's a really smooth, light drive. And then
That is very smooth. Yeah.
kick in the Phase 95 with it on the 45 side, and you get that classic, like a faux univibe thing.
Yeah.
With the Hendrix bends, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's cool, man, for sure.
But it's a really sweet sounding overdrive. With the humbucker, it's not too harsh, not too bright, kind of warm.
I would just like to say that sounds phenomenal, but also, you won't be able to see it in the picture. If you haven't seen a video of the Phase 95, you haven't tried the Phase 95, there is a little, your LED also lets you know the tempo of your swirl on that. So you've always got an idea even before you ever start playing.
Absolutely.
Where you're at on that, so you don't accidentally turn it on. It just sounds like you're throwing a rock in the water, or something
you've
like
got
that.
a frame of reference with the LED.
Yeah.
And one thing to note, another thing cool that's too, when you're in the 45 mode, the LED's flashing red.
Yeah.
When you switch to the Phase 90 mode, which is a 4-stage phase,
Yeah,
45 is a 2-stage, it changes to blue.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so you've got a reference of which circuit you're using. Not only that, but the time that the swirl is swooshing at. So.
Awesome. So give us, if you don't mind, a little bit of delay, and then maybe tell us do you stack your delays or anything like that? Or
Yeah, for the ambient stuff I do.
By all means, then educate us and me, because I feel like if I had more than one of these pedals on at once, it would just sound like static and a mishmash, and my timing would be terrible. So by all means, educate us here right now. I like
the Deluxe Memory Man has a subdivide switch on it, and I like to keep it typically set. I tap the tempo to about 500 milliseconds. So you can see the way the LED's flashing there. It's kind of like 1, 2,
Oh, yeah,
3,
yeah. I see
4.
on your L cap it does that too, so it sort of gives you an idea.
Yeah.
And I can even see, I can almost hear it right now, but let's.
The difference in the time that the LEDs are flashing.
Right. So let's hear it then, man. Let's see what.
The Memory Man I've got set to a dotted 8 subdivision, which actually it's quarter notes that you got to tap in, unless you're a freak of nature and you can tap super fast, which I can't. I have to tap quarter notes. But I've got it set to a dotted 8, so it's just that classic, beautiful analog delay. That, I mean, obviously the dotted 8 thing, that's what the Edge is known for.
Right.
I respect U2. Like I said, I'm not a big U2 fan, but I'm not trying to copy the Edge in any way or anything like that.
Sure. I mean,
but this is just that classic dotted 8 thing. Let's see if we can get this going.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if you were to stack the L cap with that, let us hear a little bit of that and tell us how you're managing to make this all syncopate and not just sound like a garbled mess like I would.
Well, what happens when I set it to 500 milliseconds tap, when I switch to the dotted 8th, it changes the time to approximately 375 milliseconds. And then the L cap, I've got it set also to a 500 millisecond tap, but leave it alone. And then when you run them together, you get this syncopated delay thing, in a rhythmic interplay between them. I don't know if I've got my time set right, but we'll try it here and see how it sounds. Well, this is the L cap by itself, how it's set. And the Memory Man again for reference.
Okay.
So then when you stack them together, you get this.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm hearing some like Floyd stuff happen there a little bit too. I feel like I may be wrong, but
absolutely. And then if you roll in the volume swells, like if you play a chord like an E minor 11 is a really good chord for that. Like, those two delays are playing against each other.
Yeah.
But you don't hear it because the pick attack's removed.
Yeah, right.
So
I
you're
see.
just rolling in the volume.
So give us something then with both delays running at the same time, just to sort of let everybody hear sort of
frame of reference.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Which I hope that doesn't sound like a jumbled mess because the repeats are set a little bit high, but it kind of gives you an idea of what I look for when I stack two delay pedals
And
together.
it gives me an idea that I should have paid more attention in math class. All right, awesome. So is like your reverb pedal, is it always on? And
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Another couple of questions really quick then. I noticed there's no volume pedal on your board, which some people may think is like a cardinal sin. I don't ever use them either, but why is there no, what keeps you from doing the volume pedal thing, you know, because that seems to be sort of a, okay.
I usually have one of the Dunlop.
So do you use
Large
the
ones.
volume pedal then for those types of swells we were talking about where you were
Absolutely.
rolling your guitar volume up and back? Okay.
It makes it smoother. I mean,
Super.
with the Strat, it's pretty easy to do because it's within reach of the pinky here. But, you know, if you're playing like my Telly, I've got, you know, it's set up like a Les Paul and the volume tone pots are way down here. And unless you've got hands the size of a catcher's mitt, it's kind of hard to do.
Sure.
But I forgot to bring my Dunlop volume pedal with me today where we could actually roll in those swells. To me, it makes it a little smoother than trying to do it with the volume knob.
Awesome.
Unless you're Jeff Beck and you're a master of
Of course.
swells.
So I think the lessons that I've learned from this is if you're going to put a board together, you're going to have more than one delay, you're going to have any effects around that, try to work on something that will actually give you a visual frame of reference as to your timing, because I can literally, I wish you could see it, I can look at his two pedals right now and sort of hear that delay that you just heard happen. Not to mention the Phase 95, you know, you'll know where you're at before you ever hit the pedal.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other like closing words, closing thoughts, anything like that?
You want to talk about the reverb for a second?
Yeah, let's by all means.
Just a little bit. Like I said, this is the room reverb that I leave on all the time with the EP booster. Let's turn the memory man back off. Just a really smooth. It's my basic reverb tone. Some people's probably thinking it's a cardinal sin because I've got a twin sitting here. Not using the reverb on it.
So can we hear just a split second then what that would sound like without the EP booster?
Okay.
And see where the difference is in that.
Sure. This is just the guitar and the reverb. Everything else is bypassed.
Oh, I can tell a huge difference. It sounds so much more full with the booster on, yeah.
I leave the EP on all the time.
Now, oh yeah, big time.
Huge difference.
Yeah, it's like the mids are completely fuller, everything's fuller, yeah.
And here's the Blue Sky, I neglected to mention, has a favorite switch on it, so it's like having two reverb pedals.
Oh, yeah, great.
You can turn that on, and then I've got the big ambient plate reverb set for that. Now, if you do that with a volume swell, too, it's...
Oh, yeah. That's completely like ethereal, you know, it doesn't sound as like of this world, you know.
Sleep music.
Yeah, right.
You can put on before you go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. All right. You've got an amazing board here. Don't let him fool you, by the way, folks. He's got an amazing talent, too, okay? So, so with that being said, do you have any other, like, closing words, closing thoughts on pedal boards in general or the reason you have everything in the way that it goes or anything like that?
Well, first off, there's no rules. You can set them up however you want, however you like. I'm not going to try to tell anybody how to set the thing up. To me, generally, I like to have my tuner first in line. Then, if I've got a phaser or a univibe, I like them before drives. I just like the way they sound better before drives. Some people like them after. I prefer them before.
It's cleaner, I think, after, but I think I actually prefer it before the drive, too. Yeah.
I just, something about the way it sounds before the drive is just so smooth. And I like my low gain pedals first, so the BB's first. Then some people say the fuzz should be the first thing your guitar pickup sees. I don't necessarily agree with that. I've tried it over the years, and unless my ears just aren't attuned enough to the subtleties.
That's the beauty of this whole industry, though, is that it's completely to taste. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be any certain way. There's probably, I'm sure, a studio technician or someone who's way more mathematically inclined to run sound than myself would tell you, yeah, sure, from a tonal standpoint, yeah, you'll want to hear. But at the end of the day, it's still your board, your sound, your ears, your playing. So it's your work of art when you put one of these together.
Let these be your judge. Let your ears tell you, because you're not going to hear things like I do. I'm not going to hear things like Kevin or Jay might hear.
Right.
Everybody's different. So I like the low gain drives, and I've got my fuzz afterward, the 2-in-1 fuzz, which Kevo and I talked about in the previous video.
Sure, sure.
Then I've got the AT Plus after, which is the higher gain stuff with the boost in it. But that's typically how I like it. I like my lower gain drives first and the higher gain after.
Then just to work that way, each sort of each drive pushes the other one if you want to run in tandem or anything. Yeah.
Now I have seen people put their higher gain drives first, run their low gain drives super clean and run them into them to change shape the tone.
It is sort of a boost if you do that. I've done that, and I think I felt like it was an accident when I got done doing it. But yeah, people do that, yeah, for sure.
But I have seen people do that, and it shapes the tone. But that's what I've got the EP booster for, is the tone shaping. So that's why I keep these other pedals before. Then after drive and the booster, I like to have other modulation effects like chorus, flanger, any of the time-based stuff. Now flanger, that's something some people will say, no, I prefer it before. Phasers for me before, univibes before, flangers and chorus after. To me, they just sound better that way, just to my ears. Then after that, I like my time-based stuff, like my delay pedals. And they can be arranged in any way. You can put reverb before, delay, or after. It doesn't really matter. And we neglected to mention, I don't have my tremolo pedal with me today. I've got a full-tone super trim that I should have brought. Some people say you should put the trim the very last thing after the reverb.
Yeah.
The reverb and the delays will change the pronunciation of the
I think that just
trim.
Sort of follows. If I were going to guess why people would say to do that, I would think it goes back to amps like this, for example. Your traditional Fender amps always have the tremolo circuit after the reverb. I think I'm with you on the reverb on the end. But yeah, I think that sort of mentality with having the tremolo last is sort of where that comes from, just like the Fender amp circuit kind of thing. I may be wrong on that, and there may be something more to it than that, but
I'm not sure, Clay. You're more knowledgeable on the gear than I am. I'm more of a pedal geek, and you're more knowledgeable on the guitars and amps than I am. So
we all have our
I've got our niche.
Our niche, yeah.
That we hang in. But yeah, the reverb is the last thing in the chain, and it just sounds best to me. That's why I have it that way. But this is Pedal Train Junior, I neglected to mention.
Yeah.
Powering everything with a one-spot CS7, which are fantastic power supplies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't let the one-spot thing fool you. They're really, really good. They're really fun.
These hold their own definitely against the Voodoo Lab pedal powers. You know, everybody's like, oh, you got to have those with isolated.
Which those are good too, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have those on my larger board on my PT3. I've got 2 Voodoo Labs on there to power everything.
I think the important thing when it comes to the power supply, make sure that it is isolated. If you get a brick power supply and it's not isolated, you might as well just be running a daisy chain, because it's the same exact concept. They've just got a daisy chain squeezed into a little box.
The brick's a daisy chain in a box. All this. You just don't have all the cables hanging everywhere. But isolated power is the key. It's essentially like running all your pedals on its own individual battery. Is what it's like. If you want to look at it that way, because the battery is the most pure form of power in a pedal. That's why my fuzz pedals, I run them on a battery. I don't use the power supply for it. So, but you can, like with the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2, it's got some pots in there on 2 of the outputs where you can adjust the voltage if you want to simulate a dying battery.
Yeah, I've seen some pedals like that. So yeah, that's very cool.
But I'm just a big pedal nerd. I love fooling with these little beautiful boxes of tone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like you got a cool setup here. Obviously, you can work this setup better than anyone else. I feel like if I tried this, it would be just a wash. It would literally just sound like clothes washing.
It's repetition, man. Should I start calling you Kenmore?
Yeah, maybe.
Or Maytag.
All right. Well, I don't know how much time this thing's got on it. So that being said, I'm Clay. This is Brian. Check us out on mountainmusicexchange.com, Mountain Music Exchange on Facebook, and Mountain Music Exchange on YouTube. Like and subscribe for more videos. Again, I'm Clay.
I'm Brian.
You guys have a good one. Thanks.